but the Meron tragedy.
We were on our way up to Meron, my chevra and I, right after our Hilula by us in Efrat, in our community. And at approximately, 2:30, I took a little shluf for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. One of the chevra kind of tugs me on my shoulder and he says, I don't think we're making it. I said, why? He's like, some very unclear reports are coming out of Meron that something's going on, something happened. We were about 20 minutes away, maybe 25 minutes away. And most of the chevra said, no, let's just go fight, continue, just keep on going. And we kept on driving for maybe another 3-4 minutes till it was clear you couldn't go any further. And we veered off to the side to a gas station. And after us, another bus and another bus and another bus and another bus. And there's probably 300-400 people now at this gas station. It's about 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. And it was still unclear. No one really knew what was going on. I tried to contact chevra of mine that were already there, but the phones were also down. The lines were down.
Right.
And that's what made the whole thing even more, because in Eretz Yisrael, we're unfortunately used to, emergency situations. But this didn't sound like it was a terrorist act. And as far as we knew, there wasn't an earthquake because we would have felt it as well. So we didn't really understand what was going on. But
and those are usually, when there are tragedies in Eretz Yisrael, unfortunately, those are usually what happened. So if you don't hear about that, it's probably a little bit confusing. Like what possibly happened?
Legamen, completely. I remember the chevra just said, okay, I guess it's not Ratzon Hashem, and we started making our way back. And as we're making our way back, now this is like a 3-hour drive back now to Efrat, initial reports started coming in, and it was all gloomy. It was very, very, very bitter. Numbers, not yet names, but by the morning, the picture became a little bit clearer. And then, unfortunately, one of the chevra by us in our community, his nephew was Donnie Morris, Olav Shalom, from New Jersey, who was learning in Shalavim. And a person that was working behind the scenes there had contacted me and asked me to be in touch with Donnie's aunt and uncle, and perhaps even be the one to bring them to a place called Abu Kabir. That's the place where you identify where you identify the bodies. Now, I'm a Kohen, so I couldn't go all the way in, but I brought him till that spot, where he was then taken inside. And this is it's Friday afternoon, it's like 2 hours before Shabbos, and this is Tel Aviv, and I'm in Efrat. But it's almost as if time stopped. Everything stopped. Everything stopped. Everything stopped. Like the whole world stopped. And I couldn't stay there anymore. And someone else said, we'll take him back home. This aunt and uncle of Donnie. And on the way back home, things were continuing to get clearer, and it was bichlal. The scene there at Abu Kabir was an imagery I'll never forget of. Parents looking for their children and siblings looking for their siblings, Rebbeim looking for their students. Really very, very grave images that I have. And I was in such a daze, honestly, when CNN contacted us. I didn't even know how in the world they got to me. Now, it's actually a little bit humorous, is that there is a Hatzalah member whose name is Shlomo Katz, and he even kind of looks like me, that was interviewed a few hours before. I'm not kidding. Now, to make it even weirder is that about 15 years ago, this guy got married, and he thought how cool would it, or how funny would it be if Shlomo Katz came to play at Shlomo Katz's wedding. It was a whole maisa, okay? I think it's the same person, and I haven't spoken to him yet, but I think it's him. I think CNN perhaps got confused. I don't know. This is one of my theories. They got confused, and they ended up getting to me. But at that moment, you have to understand that you're not even... It's almost like, yeah, CNN, but in your mind, it's like CNN, Maza CNN. There's 45 Kedoshim right now. Like, none of these names, none of these moments of, like, oh my God, you're going to be able to, connect with thousands of people. hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, it wasn't playing a role. It didn't register till after Shabbos, really. And it was a mamish, like 5 minutes before Shabbos. And, they make you look at a blank green screen while they're interviewing you. So you don't really see them either. You're just looking at a blank screen. As I'm sure you guys are familiar with. And it was really a siyat d'shmaya. It was a moment of an eis ratzon of just Hashem Yisbarach. What do people want to hear right now? What do you want to, what is it? What could be said? Man nomar man edaber. What could be said right now? That's basically more or less what happened with that horrible Friday. That was the story, b'kitzur.
Had us go there. Well, Rabbi Shlomo Katz was just minutes away from the festival when the tragedy happened. He joins us now. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Rabbi Katz, you were on your way to the festival when this incident happened. I understand you're about 23 minutes away, and you had planned to leave 30 minutes earlier, which means you could have been amongst it.
Correct. Myself and hundreds of thousands more could have been there as well. This is the largest gathering Israel has throughout the year, and many of us found ourselves on the side of the road at 2 a.m.
Give us a sense from those you're speaking with, what the feeling is there. I imagine there's a lot of shock and a lot of anger.
It's only natural for there to be shock and anger in tragedies like this, but I'll tell you something, and to all the viewers, is that the people of Israel are, as much as whatever the media portrays, we're one big, beautiful family that when we have tragedies like this, anger takes a back seat, and just comfort and condolences and genuine care and love is in the front seat. And that's exactly what all of us woke up to, went to sleep with, and will probably be around surrounding with for the next few days, if not weeks or months.
45 people lost their lives in this crash, and I understand children were among the dead. There are some that are still yet to be identified. You've been helping with that process, is that right?
Correct. I just returned home from the headquarters of the identification center in Tel Aviv, and I'm sorry if I'm going to get choked up, but what I saw there, I like many of us, I've witnessed a lot of things in life living here in this region. But the sense of seeing parents looking for their children, siblings looking for their siblings, it's something that I admit I have not processed at all. But this is a sense that we've been through this so many times as a people, but there's something different about what happened early this morning that is too soon to really put the finger on and explain on an emotional or rational level, for that matter.
I wonder what you make then of how authorities were prepared for this, because as you say, this is an event that happens every year, and in previous years, there have been much bigger turnouts. How did this happen? Did authorities just not expect that many people to turn out given the pandemic?
I honestly feel that everyone's trying to do their best. Everyone's trying to do their best. There will be people that will have to speak up and will have to pay up for what happened here. But that's not where our hearts are now. Right now, it's a few minutes before the coming of the Sabbath. And there's this general sense of all those questions in the right time. But right now, they can wait. Right now, it's just about, I'm your brother, I'm your sister. Right now, family is what matters more than anything. That's true always, but it's especially true right now, and that's what we're sensing right now.
Israel has done a pretty good job in terms of rolling out its vaccination program. As I understand it, about 50% of the population have now been vaccinated. But I'm wondering how the pandemic has impacted religious practices, because as I understand, there has been a lot of pushback when it comes to restrictions over social gatherings and some people not wanting to follow social distancing guidelines. What do you make of that, given the number of people that turned out for this event?
I can only speak from personal experience. Last year, the place was closed, so no one was there. I was there 2 years ago, the last time that it was open to the public. There were just about the same amount of people, maybe a little bit less. This is the biggest attraction in Israel, like I mentioned before. So even though we could play into, trying to understand this in light of the pandemic, I don't think that's really at the heart of what's going on over here right now. And as much as there's, like I said before, we will examine everything through that light. It's simply a different situation where we're at right now. And we feel, I just want to say that, we feel the love from all over the world, the phone calls, emails, and texts from all over the world, Jewish and non-Jewish people that are reaching out and opening their heart is truly, truly meaningful. And I want to say thank you on behalf of all the people of Israel.
The Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, spoke shortly after this tragedy. I just want to play a little of what he had to say.
We will carry out a comprehensive, serious, detailed investigation to ensure this kind of disaster never happens again. I ask on Sunday to announce a day of national mourning. We will all join in the grief of the families and in prayer for the wounded.
A lot of grief right now, but certainly a lot of questions from those you've been speaking to, especially as you've been trying to help with the identification of the victims. Are there many people asking, how did this happen?
Absolutely. The questions are not just asked on a rational level, meaning, where were the authorities? I'm a rabbi, so the questions to me are more, how could this happen? And you know that when someone has those kind of questions, you don't dare try to give any type of answer. You just put your arm around them and say, you know what? I'm going to ask that question with you together. Right now, what people think is they want answers. Even if we got all the answers in the world, I don't believe it would change anything in terms of what a person senses inside, because it's not about answers. It's something deeper going on here right now. So the questions are coming in every 2 seconds. Every 2 seconds, literally, the phones are nuts. Many people lost phone connections because the wires, everything is so busy. But there's a deeper question that's going on beneath the surface, a question which we know we have no answer for. We're a people that suffered the loss of 6 million people in gas chambers. The question of how could this happen is not something that we know we'll ever get an answer to. So we're dealing with it in the way we know how to, which is to open our hearts wide open and hopefully have more patience for each other as we get through this national tragedy together.
Rabbi Shlomo Katz, our thoughts are with you and everyone suffering in Israel over this tragedy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.